There's so many ways to make money in the real estate world, and we have Cody Hoff Hein here to prove it. 7 businesses under his belt, all in real estate. Let's go. Welcome, Cody.
How in the heck are you? I'm super excited to be here. So let's rock and roll.
This is great. All right. So what is it that what the audience can expect to get from this?
I will tell you, now being an entrepreneur for 15 years, the message I would say that comes across strong comes from a quote. It's one of my favorite people. I wish I could have met him in person. Jim Rohn. He says, "Rarely does a man's income exceed his level of personal development." The message I want to get across is, as we continually progress and get better with just us, because it's rarely about the external strategy. It's more about the internal mastery. So as we get better as individuals, and just 1% increments, like we learn in Atomic Habits, right?
Yeah.
Just 1% better than the person we were, you start to see the income start to just multiply at a faster pace. But it's always tied to you, the individual, doing the work, becoming the better version of yourself daily.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic way to put it. And that's food that we all need to eat. Fantastic. You said 15 years as an entrepreneur, 7 companies in 15 years. What launched this drive?
I wish I could say I knew it was going to be that in 2010 when I started, but it wasn't. It's actually just taking the step that's in front of us. And 2010, well, let's go back just a smidgen more, 2009, 2008 crisis was hitting a lot of the states. It didn't hit the state of Utah till the fourth quarter of 2009. We were pretty slow to hit it. It didn't hit like it hit everyone else. All the other states, the Californias, the Nevadas, the Arizonas, the Floridas, they got hit and crushed hard. Utah, 2009, we're starting to feel it. I was working for my dad, actually. And so I was doing construction. I'm a licensed general contractor. And all of a sudden, his number one client, he's building these commercial buildings, calls up and says, "Hey, we're not going to be building. We're going to be putting this on hold until we recover from this crash. We're going to be putting all of our money in marketing, no longer putting it into like remodels and building new buildings." So my mom and dad, they wanted to keep paying me, but they had no money coming in. So I'm like, I'm not going to drain my dad's bank account. Like, I'm not doing that. So I went and got a job in 2010 selling vinyl fencing. So all I did is take the next step. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was scared crapless. Like, I was like, what am I going to do? We had one kid, me and my wife, and we had one on the way.
Wow.
And good thing we were completely out of debt, except for our home. We never had that paid off. But I went and got a job just doing sales. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I took the step. And then through that process, I found through process of elimination, someone I didn't want to do. I hated selling vinyl fencing because it wasn't anything I'd get passionate about. And more importantly, it was draining. For 6 months of the year, my territory was like an hour drive from my house. And so I would leave before my boy at the time, just one kid. I was gone before he was up, and I'd get home after he was in bed. I only saw him on Sunday. It was not jiving with me. I hated it as a dad. Decent money, 75, 80K. But at the end of that year, I already checked out and said, "Hey, I won't be doing this anymore." But through that vinyl fencing, I met a bunch of not real estate, insurance agents of all things. And they're like, "Why are you selling vinyl fencing? You sold me a fence. You'll never sell me a fence again because you said it's a 30-year product. So I'm a one and done." And I'm like, "Okay, so what are you thinking?" They're like, "Well, I sell insurance. Why don't you sell insurance? As long as you just keep renewing the policy, you get a hit every single time and you can build this residual book." I'm like, "That sounds cool." So just by simply taking the action, it led to the next step was I opened independent insurance agency. I bought into a book of a guy that was retiring. I connected with a guy. He's like, "I don't want to buy all the book. I'll let you buy some of the book. And then from there, you start growing and add on to it." So I did that from 2010 to 2015. One of the ways I helped grow that book was going to a local real estate investor association. They're all over the nation. I was going there, but what's interesting, Joe, I'm telling you, this is what's stupid. I would go there for 5 years, and all I heard was someone stand up and say, "I'm so-and-so. I just bought 4 homes for rentals." Instead of saying, "Oh my gosh, I would like to learn how to do this rental game." No. All I heard was, "Hey, there's 4 homes I could potentially insure for this guy."
Right.
And that's all my ears could hear.
Right.
And so I'd go talk to these guys, and I grew a pretty big book in Utah of investors where I'm insuring their home, their autos, their rentals, things like that. Never once did I ever ask them, "Hey, how can I do this?" Until 2015. I come home early from work because the first year in insurance, I made $19,000. It was brutal. It was a gut check moment. We had no debt, but I'm telling you, I don't care if you live in a tent, $19,000 is not going to cut it. So I ended up coming home early from work. My wife was crying at the table, and she was surprised I even came home this early because I'm sure she's felt this many, many days, but she would just hide it when I got home. So I said, what's what's going on? And she says, Cody, I don't want you to feel stressed because I know you're doing the best you can, but do we put food on the table or do we pay for the mortgage this month? And I'm like, it's still this bad. So 3 days later, not coincidentally, I'm going to this local real estate investor association meeting that I've been going to for 5 years, but I go with a new set of ears. This guy stands up. He says, hey, I found this deal. I ended up wholesaling the deal. It only took me 3 days. I made $24,000 or $29,000. I'm like, that would put food on the table and pay a mortgage. Like, let's go ask this guy what's going on. So I went up and talked to him. He says, I can't teach you, Cody. You're one of the most driven individuals I've ever met. Like, I can't teach you. And I'm like, geez, but I still moved forward. I came home. We were broke. I called a mentor. Like, I called a guy that had a coaching program and I said, hey, I want to learn this. It was called wholesaling. I want to learn how to do this. And he's like, it's $5,000 to learn how to do it. I'm like, okay, I got to get a credit card because I'm broke. So I'll let you know when the credit card comes in. And he's probably thinking, yeah, right. I've heard this all the time. Like a week later, I call him up, buy his program. 39 days later, I do my first deal. It pays me $24,000. And I'm like, it works. This is crazy. Fast forward from there, it just started catching momentum. And so there was that 5 years of it was hard. We scrimped to make ends meet. I wouldn't say we were miserable in the sense of we still found joy and happiness. We still hung out as a family. We didn't try to keep up with the Joneses. We were always staying below our means. We were coupon cutters. But 2015 came with a new set of ears. I start doing that. That next 12 months, I end up doing 1.2 million.
Nice.
And it changed everything. And from there, I bought my coaches, half of his coaching company that taught me how to do it. Cause he's like, dude, you're doing more than me. Why don't you help coach this? And so I bought half his program. We grew that till 2020 when we sold it and exited. And it's just, I wish I had a perfect. That's such a long story, but let me end it by going full circle. I didn't know I'd end up owning 7 companies. I didn't know I'd end up selling 4 of them. I didn't know that other than I just took action on the step that I could see. I never could see how my life was going to be. I never could see the end goal, but I did see the step in front of me. And I was willing to overcome my internal fears because I had plenty of them to just go do it and do it imperfectly. And that imperfect action taught me more than even coaches have ever taught me. And then it would unlock the next step. And then you take that action and it unlocks the next step.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about fear, right? And earlier you said it, that's a big stopper. That's a showstopper for most people. How did you overcome that?
So naturally, I wish I could say I have so I could have a little more empathy. Fear has never been a thing that's ever really knocked me out or stopped me. I've always felt more the pressure of I'm like the provider for the family. So I don't care what fear you have, Cody, get out there and go do it. I've kind of always been that person because I'm like, okay, so if I have fear, well, now I have fear and I'm not being a provider for my family. And so I've always looked at it as, no, Cody, even if you don't know what you're doing, go out there and try. Like you'll figure it out along the way. People have always told me like, Cody, you're the guy that like jumps out of the plane and finds a parachute on the way down. I'm like, that sums me up in a perfect scenario. But I've never had that. Here's the one quote that's always resonated with me though, is Mark Twain says, do the thing you fear the most and the death of fear is certain. Nice. So even at 4 years old, 3 years old, when we all wanted to learn how to ride a bike, we all had natural fears thinking, well, what if I fall? Like, what would that feel like? Like we're going to cut our leg open or we're going to get road rash. But the only way you learn how to ride a bike is jump on the bike and learn how to ride the bike. And so it's the same thing. Even now, fast forward, if you're listening to this and you're 15 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old, 50 years old, it doesn't matter. We still have to maintain this same bicycle principle. If you want to conquer your fear, then you must do the thing you fear the most, and the death of fear is certain. Just do it. You're not going to do it perfectly. And I think there's too many times we're trying to build perfect plans. Plans never go as to plan. Right. That's the one perfect promise I can tell everyone is I've never had a plan that went perfectly to plan. So plans are just to be like, hey, get like a C-level plan, but don't sit on the couch and build a perfect plan because the people that are taking imperfect action are miles ahead of the person sitting at home building a perfect plan, taking no action at all.
Absolutely. You know what? When I'm talking to agents, coaching them or just chatting, a lot of them don't even realize they do overcome fear all the time. And it still holds them back somehow. They don't have that perspective of how did I get to where I am right now? Because they're looking forward, and that seems too big. So sometimes it's already in them. They just don't know how to unlock it.
And that's a truth. And I think so many times I've worked so hard to get to where I am that it's like, it almost comes to comfort zone. They're almost willing to stay where they're at than go through discomfort again.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you completely the opposite. My growth in who I am today as a person, character wise, my growth in wealth, my growth in real estate knowledge, my growth in income is a direct result of always staying uncomfortable. Success is always on the other side of uncomfort. There's a book that all of us have probably read. It's Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. He talks about this concept, this thought of if you will just keep pushing through this uncomfort and you don't give up. If you just keep pushing on the other side of uncomfort, you meet your other self, the better version of yourself, the more improved version of yourself, the one that's learned something to get you to the next level self. But we have to push through the suck. We have to push through the hard, the difficult. That's the only way we get better. That's the only way we improve. And if I was in my actual building office, I have a saying that just says success is found on the other side of comfort. I always find ways to just stay uncomfortable. Life is not supposed to be comfortable. Comfortable just means you're coasting, and it's a slow death trap. At the end of the day, we need to maintain being uncomfort because that's where the learning is. That's where the true growth is.
I think a lot of people, and you built a business on this, a couple, they don't see it that way. They think
Yeah.
things are great. And how do they know it's time to make a move? Like what is it that's going to trigger them saying, hey, this is great. I'm doing great. Why do I want to make a move?
Yeah. And it depends on what perspective you're even looking at. Are we talking from an employed perspective? And it's like, okay, it may be good. Maybe you're making 100,000, 150,000, 50,000, 200,000. And you're like, hey, it's okay. It's good. And so they tell themselves that. But the one thing they do lack in that scenario is control. At the end of the day, you're building someone else's dreams. And so if you don't know what your dreams are, someone will find you to help them build their dreams then.
Right.
And that is a truth. I know at the end of the year, if I just do this cozy, comfortable thing, it's 150,000. Well, if we're okay with that, then maybe we need something to just set us up to grow bigger. I'm not saying 150,000 is bad. That's not the point. But is it your full potential? And I think too many times that gets tied to, well, when is enough enough, Cody? And my response to that is me and my wife have such big dreams to have impact and bless other people's lives. In fact, when we were broke in 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, one of the things I clearly remember was walking in a park and we were holding hands because that was date night. We didn't get to go out to dinner. When people are like, hey, you want to go out to dinner? This is the only time I felt good about lying. I would literally say, you know what? We already ate. We're so sorry. Maybe next time.
Right.
We hadn't had dinner, but we didn't have money to go out to dinner either. And I didn't want to come and watch our kids. We'd drive around the corner and just drive to the park so we didn't have to waste money on gas. And we'd just walk through the park holding hands and we'd just dream. We said a prayer and we said, hey, God, as we win, we're also going to bless other people's lives where they can win. And so when people ask the question, Cody, when is enough enough? I also think it's a valid question to ask that same individual. When is enough enough for you? In the sense of, I've had a guy recently ask that, and super, super kind guy. I said, are you okay if I just say something like straightforward, but I say it out of love because I genuinely love you? And he says, yes. I'm like, even though it may sound bad, I don't mean it bad. I love you when I say this. And I prepped him so good at this, meaning the best I could, because I knew what I was going to say could cut him.
Yeah.
And so he says, when is enough enough? I says, we have so many lives that we want to bless, me and my wife. And money, as much as people think money is like, oh, it's the root of all evil. And it's like, no, it's not. It's the love of money is the root of all evil.
Right.
But I asked him, I said, and this guy happened to not be in the greatest shape. He was clearly overweight. And I said, and I say this with respect because I love you. I said, when is it enough for you to stop being mediocre with your health? When is it enough for you to not show up the best for your wife and for your kids and make better choices on what you put in your mouth and how many minutes you're going to go to the gym and move your body so that you give them your best, not your tired self that you told me says, man, I feel exhausted by 2 p.m. Man, that's just half the day.
Right.
So are you not showing up the other half the day for your wife and kids? And you wonder why your marriage is just mediocre? It's because you probably feel justified in sitting on the couch because I'm tired. I wish I could, but I can't. You can do something about it. So when is it enough? When is enough enough for you? And he finally looked at me. He was crying and he gave me the biggest hug. He's like, no one's ever said that to me before. I said, and maybe they said it out of rudeness. I genuinely love you. It's not about how much money Cody can stash. It's how many lives I can bless. And money is a massive tool in blessing people's lives.
Yeah. And that is so a long time ago when, money, it was always to do stuff. right, have to be able to give it and make a difference in other people's lives. And it might not be money you're given. It's the time you can afford. It brings so much more when you have cash flowing in and more than you need to or want, right?
Yeah, 100%.
The challenge a lot of people have is going alone's hard. So finding the right people that are gonna lift you up, pull you forward, whatever it is, speak to that. Is how do people go out and find those people, or they're probably right in front of them and they just don't even know it. What is it that there are coaching programs? You have a coaching program. I have a coaching program. Is that the necessary step, or is it just to start talking to the people that are ahead of you? Where did it go to get them to start moving forward and get pulled into somebody else's vortex if necessary?
Yeah, such a good point and a good question. Another quote, Jim Rohn, you're the average of the 5 individuals you spend the most time with. So here's what science is proving. So science data wasn't back there when he said that quote. It's a powerful quote. It's actually true. But what science is proving is it's actually 3 layers deep. So your influence is going past the 5. Those 5 have their 5. That means there's 25. And those 25 have their 5, which is 125. So by simply selecting your 5, you actually have 155 people now that are influencing you, the 1. And so it's crucial that you pick 5, and I would pick 5 that are the best,
Right.
because the best typically hang out with the best. And if it's 155 people influencing me, then I better be doing everything I can to make sure I narrow in really good on who my average are. And to put it in perspective, if someone's listening to this, kind of look at it in your own life. If your income is 70K, my gut tells me the people you hang out with make around 70K. Your likes and hobbies are, I bet you your closest 5 are also the same likes and hobbies. Like, this is the truth. So to the negative and to the pro, this quote resonates with me, but just know that it's also 3 layers deep. So picking your 5 is really good. Now, for those that may be listening to this and are like, but I don't have money, please end that sentence with yet. And while you don't have money at the moment, you still do have the greatest, easiest tool, and just these little simple things that you can put in your ear. And I call it just driving university.
Right.
The average American spends 30 to 60 minutes a day driving. 30, 60 minutes a day times 365 is more time learning, personal development, getting better, improving yourself, improving your thinking, and thinking how entrepreneurs think and thinking how winners think, than a bachelor's degree. It's better than a doctorate degree, the time you put into that. So it's just making these habits, these shifts. Everyone's like, oh, it's all about just going out there with drive and hunger and being dedicated. And it's like, dedication by itself is not the answer, because people are dedicated, but they might be dedicated to scrolling through Instagram. So it's not a lack of dedication. It's a lack of standards. What are the standards you're setting up for yourself so that you live by them each and every day? I make sure when I'm at the gym, I even though there's days when I'm like, okay, today's a music day. Most of my days it's a podcast, because I want to be learning while I'm lifting, because it's such an easy time to just do that. So it is, you still can learn. My wife, when we were young and I was going to the events, and they weren't expensive events, but they were events that I was able to connect with people that were 5 years ahead of me, being in the right rooms. My wife didn't go to them. And so she had to read the books, the Darren Hardys, the John Maxwells, the Robin Sharma, the Brendan Burchards, like Tony Robbins. She was reading them and listening to them. In fact, if she was in here, she'd say, my friends, like, she's like, oh yeah, I listened to my friend John Maxwell today.
Right.
And everyone's like, you know John Maxwell? She's like, no. I consider him my friend because I listen to him in my ears all day long. And so there's always a way. And then I always contribute 10% of my income, first and foremost, to tithing. I'm a Christian. I love that. But 10% to my learning, my future development. So as my income grows, so does that 10% on how much I spend on next mentors or the next rooms that I want to be in, so that I'm always leveling up. And the goal here is I'm trying to find people 5 years ahead of me. So even right now, I have a mentor that's worth 200 million that's coaching me as I speak. That wasn't cheap, but it still falls within the guidelines of 10% of my income. I pay this individual so I can go and learn from him. And what he does is he's able to give me the blueprint, so I just get to his destination quicker than he got to that destination. And when I get to that destination, I'm going to be looking to my next person of who's going to be my mentor. So it's setting up the right habits. If you don't have money, I'm okay with that. My wife didn't have money for her to go to events and for both of us to go to events. And so she just listened and she read books. Anyone can do that. You can get a library card and do that.
Absolutely.
And then as income grows, because you're growing your knowledge, your wisdom, and you're applying it, and now you can see impact and income coming as the fruits of it, you're able to then take that money, reinvest it. And I tell everyone, even though I own real estate, your number one investment, even before real estate, is in you so that you can just become a better version of yourself. It should be you. Invest in you first. And as you invest in you, then you'll have the income to go invest in the real estate and all these things, the businesses and the cryptos if you want to get into these things. So
And it's investment is in yourself is everything. It's mind, it's body, it's physical. It's not just education. It's all of it. So your mentor is years ahead of you. And where you expect income to be? Does it have to be somebody in the same industry, or is it just a mindset type of person?
yeah, not necessarily. So I have two mentors. I have a guy by the name of Dan Martell. It's a dear friend of mine. He wrote the book Buy Back Your Time. He's in the SaaS industry. So he was in a completely different coding and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't know, you got the wrong guy for coding. That's like right over my head.
Right.
But the principles remain the same. So his principles that he teaches, I mean, they're universal principles that build businesses. So I'm learning from him. And that was more of Cody, get out of the weeds. Like you're touching so much stuff you shouldn't be touching. Your team should be doing that so you can buy back more time, then go do the higher revenue producing stuff. No wonder why you can't make more money is because you're touching $20 an hour stuff. Quit touching that stuff. Like hire that out. So that was that. I do have a guy that's also in the franchise world because I'm in the franchise space. So Joe Homebuyer is a franchise that I'm a founder in. And we've grown that to 75 territories. And we really want to throw some rocket fuel on that thing. So I have a mentor that happens to also be in franchising. His name's Bedros Koulian. And he also happens to be the net worth guy that's 200 million and knows how to really grow the coaching platform as well. And so even though I have these companies, I've always dearly loved coaching. It's like where I thrive. It's where I'm passionate. It's where like I come to life. And so he's helping me even grow that to be a lot bigger than what it is currently today. And I'm excited. It's just fun. There's two currencies in the world. It's income and impact. And too many times, and I was guilty of it too at the beginning stages, I was always chasing the income.
Yeah.
But if we can chase just impact, income just follows. Income's the byproduct of just having a massive impact and serving people's lives the highest you can, helping them win as high as possible. And the byproduct is you're going to have more money than you know what to do with it.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned Joe Homebuyer. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. But
What's that about?
Yeah, Joe Homebuyer is, so my coaching program before was Wholesaling Inc. that I sold in 2020. It was teaching beginners how to get into investing through a avenue called wholesaling. And what happens is you teach them, and then it was like you taught them how to do a deal, and then they go off and try to do their business. You talk to these guys a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, and they're like, oh no, I ended up going back to my W-2. I couldn't keep it consistent. Where I was consistent. My deals were just, my business was continually growing. And then we went to a blind market and said, hey, I like this little framework we have. Let's go try it in Texas. And I live in Utah. We tried it in Texas, and the first year took off. And I'm like, okay, hold on. But it's us. Like we believe in it. Let's see someone that has a so-so business if they implement our framework. We brought in a student of mine from Wisconsin. We said, hey, try this framework. I want to talk back to you in a year from now. So he goes out and tries the framework, and he's like, dude, I tripled my business. I'm like, let's go. That's awesome. You guys did the steps. You guys are awesome. But the framework was perfect. And so I'm like, we truly now can turn this investing into a business versus like I invested in a deal, I made some money, but it was never consistent. So I went back. So we ended up opening up Joe Homebuyer to help people turn their current investing hobby into a business, one that actually serves them, where they're not wearing all the hats. They can grow a team, and that team goes out and helps build that business. And so we've been doing that since 2020. Our standards are a little bit higher for this one. It's not for beginners. It's for those that are already currently doing it and doing it at a high level. And then we're able to really take that at our framework and scale them to multiple seven figures. So that's where we're currently at with that. And we have some big goals to be at $101 million producing franchise territories over the next 2.5 years. So by the end of 2027. And we're excited for where we're going, how we're growing. Is that a massive goal? Yes, it's a massive goal. But we love dreaming big so that it helps us continually think different. So we're not thinking linearly, like, oh, I did 1 million last year, so let's do 1.2. It's like now I'm using my past and my current experience to like set my goals. I want to think like 10.0. And then that way I have to think different and come up with new ways of doing business because the current way of doing it won't get me 10x. So I've got to think of new ways. So we're really big on thinking 10x all the time.
Yeah. That's how 10x is easier than 2x, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. In fact,
the book.
I know that book's up here somewhere. Benjamin Hardy happens to be a dear friend of ours. He lives here in Utah as well.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. So in your businesses right now,
Yeah.
this is an obvious question. You've got leverage up everywhere, right? Do you have multiple employees in each one, or are you outsourcing? How do you structure your business?
Yeah, there is a functionality where we outsource until we do have it in-house, but there is something about when you can afford someone to be in-house full-time. Culture is massive. In fact, it's so big that culture is 60% of our interview process. 40% is only attributed to the skill set because we believe our system actually will teach the skill set. Wherever they lack, we can always grow that and help that become something more. But the actual culture and the shyster, I can't teach someone that's not honest to be honest. And so they have to come with us with the core values and the culture, fit the culture. And if that's 60%, like get ready, the skill set, we can teach that. So there's a point though where it's like, okay, we need a chief marketing officer. We don't just go out and hire because we're thinking big. And it's like, I don't just want to hire a $300,000 person a year and bring him in-house right now. So let's go outsource this third party. And then once we get this going and we see the ROAS, we start seeing the numbers come in where we're starting to make a huge ROI on this investment. It's like, okay, now we've got an annual salary and they can take over this current platform and here's what's working. Let's keep going and let's just find new ways to continually grow. So to those listening, no, you don't have to. You can start with virtual assistants. You can start with part-time. There's so many ways you can start to do this before you bring them in-house full-time. But I do love in-house just for the fact of you can really instill this culture, and culture is something that just really allows our business to grow at a high level.
That goes back to making a difference in other people's lives too.
Like you get a lot more involvement. And then there's a lot more control when it's someone in-house. So when they say like, hey, we're trying this and it's not working, it's like third party. It's like they know if they get fired, it's like they get fired.
Right.
In-house, it's like, I now have a process to do that. Hey, do you understand what's going on? They're like, not really. I said, okay, so last week, and we go with, are you familiar with EOS, Entrepreneur's Operating System?
Yeah, I've been
So they have a simple question that I love. And it's, do you get it? Do you want it? It's GWC. Do you get it? Do you want it? Do you have the capacity to do it? So we train our team on this. Hey, here's the roles, responsibilities. Here's what I need of you. And this is the specific goal I need you to do over the next 90 days. Do you get this? Well, what about this? Awesome. Thank you for asking. Let's get clarity. Boom, 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 boom. Now that you heard that, do you get it? Totally get it. Do you want this? Yes, I want this. Do you have the capacity to do it? Yes, I have the capacity to do it. And then next week, when they don't hit their goals or their metrics to get us on track for that 90-day, and now they're off track 1 or 2 weeks in a row, I'll say, hey, anything going on? And they can have a chance to say, hey, I think we need to change the goal, or hey, no, I don't feel like I'm clear on this. Okay, well, 2 weeks ago, you said you got it. You wanted it. You had the capacity to do it. What's going on? And we work through it. And they're like, okay, now I get it. Yes, I want it. Yes, I have the capacity to do it. And if they keep missing their goal, the good news about if you do that, I no longer feel guilt, where I used to kind of feel guilt as an owner when I'd have to fire someone, because I knew sometimes it was a lack of communication on me, the leader. And so it always was like, man, maybe they could have been something great, but they're not doing what they should be doing. And I think I know how I'm talking to them and communicating, but I'm not certain. And so I was always uncertain with my leadership. Now my leadership has grown to the point where I'm like, I know we talked about this, and we talked about this like 6 times. And you said you got it, you wanted it, capacity. I've got to let you go. Now it's on them. It's completely on them, because how many times they said they got it, wanted it, and had the capacity to do it.
That program is fantastic as long as it's being followed to the way it's supposed to be done. There's no shortcuts in that, right?
No shortcuts.
Yeah. You got to make sure everything's humming along. Everybody knows what they're doing. Okay. So we talked about Joe Homebuyer. What else is cooking for? You got a podcast coming out, right? Just came out?
Yes. Podcast just came out. So episode number 8 was posted yesterday. It's called the Cody Hoff Show. I would love your listeners to go over and listen to it. I mean, it is my lifelong work. There's nothing for sale. At the end of it, I'm not pushing them anywhere. It is just literally my lifelong lessons, principles, and things I've learned throughout my life, as well as the greatest principles I've learned from great mentors. I wish I could say I'm a genius. I'm not a genius. I'm standing on the shoulders of greats that were willing to share their successes and how they won with me. And now it's my time to share with the world and have as much impact as I can as a result.
So the listener can expect great wisdom from this.
Oh, I would sure hope so. There's been some man, I get a little bit of chills because reached out to me on Instagram and they're like, "Hey, I just listened to this episode. Thank you so much." Like that's why I do it. And so when I have, even if it's just one person that would say that, I'm like, Cody, keep
Right.
waking up and keep doing this podcast. It's worth
Right.
it. Even if you just change one person's life, it's worth it.
Huge.
And so, yeah, I absolutely love it. And I hope those that listen to it love it as well.
That's great. Well, we're all going to have to tune into that. Cody, what is it that you would like to leave behind on this episode?
What I would leave behind is go to the casino of life and go all in on you. I know it's scary. I hear you. I've been down that road before. And so, with empathy, I'm with you. I've felt it, but I will tell you that one investment of going all in on me has made all the difference to be able to then have a life that not many have. And I think it happens quicker than most people think. If you're willing to put in the work, put in the reps, go out there and be willing to suck at it. At the end of the day, you got to be willing to just test this principle right here. You're going to come up with a little plan. It's not going to be perfect, but you're going to go test it. You're going to go fail. You're going to learn. You're going to improve, but then you're going to re-enter,
Yeah.
right? You're going to test. You're going to fail. You're going to
Awesome.
learn. You're going to improve. You're going to re-enter. And every
And,
time you re-enter, you're getting someone better.
and that never stops, right?
That never stops. Today, Cody is where he is today because I'm willing to suck more than most people. Like at the end of the day, that's just the truth of it. Like I'm willing to look like a complete idiot more than most. And that's why I'm here. Now, there are people that look like a bigger idiot than me and they're further ahead than me because of it. The last concept I'd say is take time to reflect. Don't let life's experiences just happen. Take time to really consider them, think about them, and what you learned from them. Because everyone will tell you that that experience is the mother of all learning. And a dear friend of mine, John Maxwell, we were sitting at lunch in Orlando, and he says, "Cody, they get it wrong. They missed the first part. It's reflection upon the experiences. That's the mother of all learning." He says, "There's 80-year-olds out there that have had a lot more experiences than you, Cody, because they've lived longer. But if they didn't take time to reflect, you probably don't want to sit in the same room with those guys. And you probably don't care to listen to anything they have to say." He's like, "But someone that has reflected upon 80 years of experiences, grab me a journal. I want to learn from that individual because they have so much wisdom." So I would take the lessons that are happening, even the ones that feel like, well, that was horrible. There's something to learn why it was horrible, and it's for your betterment. You become 1% better consistently, daily, over a short period of time, you'll start to see massive results.
Fantastic. Well said. Cody, thanks so much for coming on. Listener, please subscribe. We have phenomenal guests coming on like Cody every week and look forward to sharing what they have with you. Your best. Have fun.